All right, our last problem that we're going to have here today is problem number 5. So if you're struggling with problem number 5, go through and watch this video. Afterwards, immediately start working on problem number 6 because they're going to be pretty similar. So in order to solve problem number 5, we have two different roads that we can take. First road that we can take is to either split this fraction up. So we can split this fraction by rewriting our equation as -4 is equal to 6y over 8 minus 2 over 8. Now 6y over 8 doesn't really look like an equation that we've been using very much, so we can actually even bring this y out, so then it looks just like one of those two-step equations that we've been solving earlier. So -4 is equal to 6/8 y minus 2/8. So now at this point we have a two-step equation, and then we can go ahead and solve that using our two steps. But if that's not really your jam and you want to go ahead and use the other method, we're going to go ahead and go over that other method together. So the other method that we have is we are going to treat this entire thing right here as though it's basically just a big red blob. So we're going to treat that as its own, basically its own variable. So we're not going to separate anything up there at all, and in fact we're going to keep that as all one piece. So we're going to rewrite our equation. We've got -4 is equal to that big red blob over 8. Now if we need to figure out what that big red blob is, and we're going to isolate that big red blob, that means we need to do our inverse operation. So the inverse of dividing by 8 is multiplying by 8. I'm going to take this left side and multiply that by 8 as well. So we have -4 times 8, which is equal to -32. And that is going to equal the big red blob, and divided by 8 times 8 cancels out. So those cancel out to 1. Anything times itself is just, or anything times 1 is just itself. So we have -32 equals that big red blob. But if we remember back here, that red blob wasn't always a red blob. We know that that red blob is actually 6y minus 2. So wherever that big red blob was, we're going to go ahead and put in that 6y minus 2. And now we once again have a two-step equation. And in order to solve that two-step equation, we need to isolate y. So we're going to get y all by itself. And to do that, our first step is to make our make our constant equal 0. So we're going to do that by using the inverse operation. The opposite of subtracting 2 is adding 2. So we've got 6y minus 2 plus 2. Then we're going to add 2 to the other side. -32 plus 2. -32 plus 2 is equal to -30, because remember, on our number line, positives are on the right, negatives on the left. So if we're starting with -32 and we're adding a positive number, we're going to go that way. -31, -30. So -30 is equal to 6y. Our minus 2 and plus 2 are going to cancel out. So -30 is equal to 6y. Step 2, we need to make our coefficient, which is 6, equal 1. And we're going to do that by using our inverse operations. So 6y is 6 times y, which means we're going to divide. 6 divided by 6 is 1. -30 divided by 6 is going to equal -5. So we have a solution of 5 is equal to -y. So if we go ahead and substitute in order to check our work, -4, does that equal 6 times -5 minus 2 divided by 8? We need to use that GEMDAS diagram. I'll remember that from before. And it says that we need to solve our grouping symbols first. So our grouping symbols, we have everything on top of the fraction, its own kind of grouping symbol. So 6 times -5 is -30 minus 2 divided by 8. Does that equal 4? -30 minus 2 is -32 divided by 8. Does that equal -4? It sure does, which means we have the correct answer of 5 is equal to y. Now that we've gone through this, go ahead and work immediately on problem 6 over here. You can solve that in much the same way. You can re-watch this video again if you need to. If you need help working on this one right here, just remember it's going to be really similar to number 5.